Hi guys, it's Mrs. C here with cycle 2, week 3. So I'm just gonna jump right in. I start with geography, or I will start with geography. I don't know what to say anymore now that I'm doing these earlier. But so starting with geography, let me grab my map here. So we have the European countries, the ones people know really, really well. So probably what I will do, because these all do have outlines, if you have a younger class, I would outline all of them. They're all pretty close together, and they are decent sized locations, so hopefully it won't be too hard to find. But with the littles, I feel like you can't help them too much with geography, again, especially if you don't have a lot of mom helpers in the class. So I would go around in a circle, and actually circle like this, and there's a little song that we learned when we did it. So we did Ireland, England, France and Spain, Portugal, round again, Ireland, England, France and Spain, Portugal. So it makes a little clock on there. So starting in Ireland, going around to England, France, Spain, Portugal, and then going around again, just to help them. So again, it's a different order than it is in the guide, and that is totally fine. You do not have to worry about the order for geography. Really, like science, you don't even have to worry about the order, except for obviously the days of creation. They need to have those in the correct order. But most of the lists, you don't generally have to have them in the right order. You just have to get the entire list. So again, I will sing that for you. What is that song? London Bridge. There we go. Thank you. So Ireland, England, France and Spain, Portugal, round again, Ireland, England, France and Spain, Portugal. So that is probably the little song that I will do. My class may be a little too old for songs, but they're gonna have to deal with it. So once you do that and introduce that a few times, for the littles, I would just do the song over and over and have them point around with their fingers. For the older ones, you do want to kind of do that show me, tell me. So I might ask them, what country is surrounded by Spain? What country is the largest island we're talking about today? What country is the small island? What country touches the North Sea, since we did that last week. So I would just kind of ask some different things like that to get them to actually say the names back to you. So that's what I will do for geography. I will probably go to math after geography. And again, for my class, I have a mixture of needs to say the times tables and can do the skip counting. So my intent is to do kind of half and half. In my experience, it's so good to hear the entire multiplication table, but they are not going to learn it just from class. Just like the rest of this material, they're not going to learn it. They're going to need to be practicing it at home. So I feel comfortable with the students I know that are doing Memory Master, that they're going to get a lot of that at home and get support in that at home, and that we can do it a few times in class, expose those other ones to that, but then also do the skip counting songs to keep those in our head. So I will probably do, I guess it's like Yahtzee, which is where one student has 5 dice, and it depends on how fast your class is at doing it. I think last year with my older class, I ended up using more than 5 dice. I had a whole bunch of dice. But all you do is they roll the dice, and they're trying to get all of the same kind. So they can kind of choose, like if they roll and get a bunch of 4s and want to keep trying to get all 4s, then they can keep trying to get all 4s. And while that one student is rolling, the rest of the class is reciting the multiplication facts. So if you have a class of 6 kids, say it through one time, and then each kid can have a turn trying to roll their dice and seeing if they can get all of the kind before the class gets through the entire set of multiplication facts for the number. So that's one option to do. If you have skip counting, I will, if your class the past few weeks has really liked jumping and you have littles, it's good to do the same thing over and over, because it's probably going to take them a few weeks to understand what they're supposed to be doing with the whole jumping thing. But another idea with the math and the skip counting is to use Post-it notes, and if you have a nice wall, put Post-it notes of the skip counting numbers up on the wall, kind of at all different varying heights, and have them sing through the song and walk down the wall and tap the numbers as they're singing, kind of going up and down. So that would be what I would suggest for this week for the 5s and the 6s. The 5 is a chant, so it's a little bit harder but easier at the same time. And I will also point out with, you know, those the kids, especially ones that aren't as familiar with it, that it's always 5 or 0, 5 or 0, 5 or 0 for the ends, just to help their eyes start recognizing that that's the pattern in that one. So that's math. Moving on to Latin. So for week 3, we have a new conjugation. Let me find my Latin here. And we're going to be moving on to imperfect tense. So I mentioned these in the past 2 videos. These are on CC Connected. They're called Latin cue cards, and they are just simple black and white pictures with a little visual cue on it to help us remember how each conjugation starts to get us going. So we have bomb, and it's imperfect tense. And our cue, this also has a paper that gives you like the cue sentence is, a bomb is an imperfect solution. I also like to think of like, if a bomb goes off, everything's imperfect. That's kind of how I always remember it. So that helps us remember that it's bomb ba spot. Because it's a new week of introducing it, I will probably spend a little more time introducing our device here to help us remember. We will sing through it a few times. I will point out with mine, because they're older, that we've added in, like, it's not just the regular verb, like the last 2 weeks have been, it would be like, I jumped, I ran, I did this, like, or I run. Actually, I think it's run. I run, I jump, all that. And then this week is I was jumping, I was running, and that it's changed a little bit, and that's why our endings are changing, just to help them kind of make those connections. So that's Latin. Next week, my plan with these is the first week to spend more time introducing, hammering in what they are, and then the next week doing something more fun with it. So for English, we have our pronoun orders. So I've got a little bit of hand motions for this. So we have singular and plural. So we have first person singular, and so we're going to take a 1 and point it to ourselves. And then we have second person, and you're gonna like point to someone else because you're talking about someone else. So second person singular. And then we have third person singular, and that's like when you're talking about I can't remember. Third person is when you're talking about someone else too, right? I can't remember. Anyway, we're gonna hold our 3 over here. So, third person is when you're in a group with somebody, right? Yes, I think that's what it is. You correct me if I'm wrong. So we're gonna hold it over here like you're with some other people. So then, that's not right. This is gonna bother me. I should have re-looked this up. I just remembered the hand motions that we did the last time. First person singular, talking about you. Second person, you're talking about me. Second person, you're talking about you. Third person, you're just talking about someone else, right? Yes, okay. Then we have plural. So we have first person plural. So we're gonna have 2 fingers now pointing to us. Second person pointing to other people. And then third person, we've got a big group of people, plural. Okay, so please help me remember what third person is, because my brain is blinking. Put it in the comments down below and help a sister out. So anyway, those will be the hand motions that we'll do. So we'll have first person singular, second person singular, third person singular, first person plural, second person plural, third person plural is what we'll do. Moving on to science, we have 3 types of consumers, and I will probably do hand motions for these, and I probably won't do English and science back to back just because I'm doing hand motions. So we'll have herbivore, and I was just kind of gonna pretend like you're eating like a vegetable, like a carrot, where you go and kind of eat it like that. So herbivore, because they're plant eaters. And then carnivore, your best like dinosaur monster. You can do little arms for T-Rex, you know, rawr, kind of thing. And then omnivores eat everything, so we're just gonna and kind of act like we're shoving everything in our mouth, because we don't care. We'll just eat any kinds of food you put in front of us. So we have herbivore, like like we're eating a carrot, which is a plant. Carnivore, your best meat-eating dinosaur. And then omnivore, we'll just eat anything you throw at us. For history, we've got the Crusades. So I will probably do funny words for this one. So I kind of wrote some down to help you guys out. I don't want to read the whole thing because I want to be respectful of Cece's copyright. So I will just tell you the words I'm going to change, and you can look in your guide and read along on the sentence and figure out. So Richard, I'm going to change to Ricardo. And lion-hearted, I thought I would change to sloth-hearted just because I love sloths. And Eleanor, I will probably change to, I hadn't thought of one for Eleanor yet. Eleanor, I will probably change to Equestria. I don't know. I'll just come up with something that starts with something similar. Equestria, or let's see. We'll do Elizabeth. I'll change it to Elizabeth, and instead of Aquitaine, I'll do Equestria. And they're gonna fight the tornadoes for justice. And it's gonna be, instead of Crusades, I'm gonna change it to the crunches, and then I probably will switch around just one of the numbers, so like 1095, and I'll probably do 12,042, something like that. So I will have those words written up on the board, and you might find it more fun to like do a theme with your words, but like last year I think I did a Star Wars one, and that was pretty fun. So, but I will have those words written up on the board, but I don't write them in any different colors or anything. So if you're just looking at the board, they look normal. And then as we listen to the sentence and they start reading up on the board, they'll be like, hey, wait a second, those aren't the right words. And so then what I do is we go through the sentence and they help me correct the words. So I'll start off and I'll be like, okay, so help me correct this. It was Ricardo the sloth-hearted. And they'll be like, no, it's Richard. And I'll like, okay, so we'll erase Ricardo, write in Richard. And then we'll erase sloth and write in lion. And then we'll start over. Okay, so now we have Richard, the lion-hearted son of Elizabeth of Equestria. And they will help me correct that. And then we'll go back and start at the beginning of the sentence and read through until we can get through the entire sentence completely correct. So that's how I do the silly sentences. Yeah, so that'll be history. Timeline. So I got a few comments that the weeks 1 and 2, some of my timeline motions were not quite correct, and I joked that I had an accent when I did them. But I do want to correct those really quickly early on, so that if you have families that are really into that. I learned the hand motions my first year, and at that time there were not official CC motions, and I thought that I had corrected myself over the years, but I guess some of the early ones that I learned stuck. So for creation, what I do is this. They do it coming in this way, so it's not terribly different, but if you have people who really want to be precise, instead of going creation like this, you're going to come around like that. And then I think that I had simplified this one for the younger ones, the Mesopotamia and Sumer. You do this, but beforehand you put your hand in here. It's in the middle for Mesopotamia because it was middle. So you just take your hand like this, and that's Mesopotamia, and then you still do this for Sumer. And then I simplified Babylonians to just a B. On the video, you'll notice she does this, and that's because the Babylonians are famous for their law. So it's a B and then an L, and this is law. And we do use that, this sign in other parts of the timeline. I think I've just simplified it over the years for the little ones because this is hard to get some of them to do. And then this plus this is a little complicated, and that part goes a little faster. And then, as I said, I always do Hittites, Canaanites, Cush. They do that a little different, but I did warn you about that one. So I think those were the only ones that were really off. Oh, and then China, sorry. So China and all of the rest of the timeline, you make the sign, which is the buttons that they wear, that they have on their traditional clothing. So it's shoulder, shoulder, and then kind of down right on the bottom of your ribs. So that's the only one. And I apologize for that. I will make sure to go through and watch from now on all of them to make sure I'm telling you the right things. Though I think from this point forward that I have mentally corrected all of them. So here we go with timeline. We have Hinduism and India. So you're going to take 2 fingers like this, and they're going to kind of wiggle apart, where you can have one wiggling. This is to represent the spirit that they deal with in Hinduism. I don't know a lot about Hinduism, but this is the spirit. In the video with the lady in the black shirt, she does it this way, and then the video with the lady with the blue shirt, she does it more like this, and I do it more like this. So we have Hinduism, and we're going to point to the middle of our head for that bindi dot that we always do when we talk about India. Hinduism and India. Then we have Phoenicians. We're going to take 3 fingers like this and place it on top of our hand. This is going to be our ship, and we're going to sail because the Phoenicians were famous for their ships. So Phoenicians, and we're going to sign ABC for the alphabet. A, B, C, okay? So Phoenicians and the alphabet. We have Olmecs in Mesoamerica. There's not really a sign for Olmecs, but they are in the middle, and if you look at the Olmecs card, there's that really big stone head. So you're just going to kind of take your fingers and outline kind of like the big face that's on that card right next to your face, like this, okay? Olmecs in Mesoamerica. Israelite Exodus, so we're going to do an I, and we're going to exit, and then we're just going to take a hand and go like this for wandering, okay? Israelite Conquest, so you're going to have one hand, your left hand with the fist like this, and your right hand's going to kind of come down over it. We use this one, this sign a ton in the timeline. So Israelite Conquest. And the judges, we're going to kind of take our fingers and go up and down, and this represents the scales of justice, kind of judging. So they go up and down like this. So Israelite Conquest and judges. And then we're going to cover our eyes for Greek Dark Ages. And then we have Israel's United Kingdom. And I can't remember if they do the I or not, but I like to do the I because we have a lot of uniting that goes on, and that just helps remember the word Israel. So Israel's United Kingdom. You can do multiple fingers, one finger. There's not a specific way that you have to do it, but you're just bringing and touching your fingers together, interlocking them for uniting. Okay? So that is science for this week, or timeline for this week. So for science, we have the see-through project, which I'm pretty sure is, let me make sure, yeah. So it is the one, no, it's not the one, that's later. I'll tell you about that one when I get to that week. This is what happens when I prep early and I haven't done them, I forget. So for science, I will just remind you about this awesome sheet. You can find it on Pinterest. You just look up scientific method cards for kids, and this will pop right up. And they're really helpful. I have some of these already cut out and laminated. I like to put them up, especially with the younger class, as we're going through the scientific method, so they see what part of the method that we're working on. Because sometimes with this, as we're having conversations, we're working through the method, but maybe not recognizing that. And I want to be intentional about using our names and naming and attending to which part of the scientific method that we are working through. So these are very helpful for that. And then with fine arts, again, I will remind you of some of the resources in case you are looking for something different at this point, or maybe you haven't been provided anything to use specifically. There are Inside the Lines lessons. That's what I will be using for my class. They're wonderful, in-depth. She has printables, she has YouTube videos. So if you are a person who's not as naturally artistically inclined like I am, I very much appreciate the walkthrough and the explanation of everything. But then there are also some great ones, especially for the younger ones. I looked over these files and I thought, oh, I really like those for the younger classes. They are on the Tutor Facebook page. If you are not a member of that, you can just look up Foundation Cycle 2 tutors. You will have to answer some questions and get approved because they try to be on our CC and only allow actual signed up tutors into that group. But once you're in there on the file section, you can look for Lori Gillis Shorter or Rebecca Love Skillen, and they have both created wonderful files for all the first 6 weeks of art. So anyway, I hope you guys have an awesome week. I'll be back soon with week 4. Since I'm recording these ahead of time, it feels weird to say, but I hope you have an awesome week whenever you watch this video, and hope the start of your year is going awesome. Bye guys.